Hi folks, this is All the Fruit, and I'm inviting you once more to dive with me into the confusing world of the yellow plums. Well, I'm sure after this video, the systematic of yellow plums will be even more confusing for you than it is now, but this is normal. Even specialists disagree on the systematic of almost every fruit, and plums are one of the very confusing cases, well, for different reasons. They're an important fruit in big parts of the world, so many people are growing them. And so there are thousands upon thousands of varieties. It has been grown since the Stone Age, and it has obviously also been bred and selected since the Stone Age, and cloned since the Stone Age, yes. And also our modern plums are a result of hybridization between different species, so there is not one origin of the plum. And also, especially in East Asia, there are more plum species which have been taken into cultivation. Well, yeah. The thing is, people who deal with fruit, well, they don't care so much about the systematics of the fruit, neither in prehistoric times, nor in historic times, nor in modern times. Imagine if you, well, breed, grow, trade, and consume fruit. You're more interested in stuff like, is it tasty? Is it easy to grow in my climate? Is it easy to harvest? Easy to transport? Easy to store? Yeah. Is it easy to prepare into different dishes and preserves? Can I get a good price for it? Will people buy it? Will my people like it? The name is secondary. You basically smack a name on it, and then you let people try it, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And yeah, with plums, here there are a lot of different yellow plums, which, according to the systematic, are not that closely related, actually. Well, let's get to the start. Most plum varieties, at least in the West, meaning like Europe and West Asia, are hybrids of two wild plums. Here we have Prunus cerasifera, the cherry plum, a deep purple variety, a bright yellow variety, and since we are in a heat wave in August, a lot of the early plums are already gone, so I couldn't show you the bright red variety. You can find it in my other videos on plums. So the cherry plum is one parent, and it's not so unusual for it to appear in different colors. The closely related Circassian plum, which like the cherry plum comes from the, well, Caucasus Black Sea area, also has different colors. The second parent is the blackthorn. And yeah, the blackthorn usually doesn't have this hole. This hole is from the Japanese fruit fly. But yeah, it seems that at some time during the early Stone Age, when there was already farming, those two species hybridized and were preserved by cloning by the Stone Age people. Well, isn't cloning a thing of modern times? No, actually with plants, it has probably been done since the Stone Age. Basically, cloning is grafting. You take a little branch of a plant and plant it on a closely related other plant, and if you do it right and are lucky, this plant will grow, this branch will grow on the other plant. Well, I said that there are other species of plums, and this year actually, when I bought it, I thought it's Prunus domestica, but this Susine golden plums are from Italy. Actually seems to be a subtropical species from East Asia, from southern China and southern Japan, and this species seems to be grown only... Can this thing focus? It's so hot that I have sweat in my eyes. Well, and this Prunus salicina is being grown in the southern parts, in the warmest climates of southern Spain, southern Italy, southern Greece, and southern Turkey. So here we have three different species, at least what people consider species. Those two, Cherry Plum, Prunus cerasifera. Here, Prunus spinosa, the blackthorn, and here, Prunus salicina. Prunus salicina probably did not take part in any of the hybridization which produced those fruit down here. Those are by far not all yellow plums you can get, but I had to be content with what I grow here on my farm and with what I could buy in the shops yesterday. So I concentrated only on two varieties, and this one I bought just at first because I thought that it's closely related to this one, but it wasn't. So what are those things? Well, this here is Prunus domestica, subspecies italica, var claudiana. This is the green gauge, and I thought that this here is actually the noble plum, Prunus domestica, subspecies italica, var suprotunda. Looks a lot of it, but it seems that it's most probably a different species. So this here, those three you could basically all call green gauges. Those three here are mirabelles. Well, at first when I bought those in a supermarket, I thought that those are green gauges because they are green. But it turns out, no, they are mirabelles. They are the famous mirabelle of non-C, which is the most popular mirabelle variety. Here I have some mirabelles from my farm, but somebody else has planted them, so I guess those are the mirabelles of non-C. You'll notice that they look quite different from those ones. And here we have some feral mirabelles, most probably of non-C, which probably originated from one seedling, which then did a lot of suckering. And actually, when you look around, the whole shrubbery behind this little shed here, well, part of it is blackthorn, but most of it are feral mirabelles. Well, let's go back to the green gauges. This here to the left is the variety große grüne Redeklode. Translated into English is the big green gauge. Basically, this thing, yeah, this is why they are called green gauges. They are green even when they are ripe. This here is the variety Graf Althans. So this is Prunus domestica, which should technically be Prunus ex domestica, subspecies italica, var claudiana, and then I guess sub var Graf Althans. And this one originates from what is nowadays the Czech Republic, from the estate of Count Althans. Graf means count in German. And it was discovered, like a freak seedling, discovered by his gardener. And as you can see, green gauges don't really have this dark purple color. So I guess it's not just a freak mutation, but also a hybrid with some more bluish plum. And this here, those are some feral plants here around my farm. Feral means planted by nobody. They are not wild because they are not native to the area, but they basically escaped from cultivation. A bird or a person ate them, spit out the seeds, and shrubbery of those feral plums grew. Well, I would call them green gauges, however, they have here this nice coloring, which very much resembles a mirabelle. So I guess they could be a hybrid, maybe with a cherry plum, maybe with a blackthorn, maybe with the blue plum. There are lots of blue plum trees around. Maybe with the green gauge Graf Althans. No idea. Now after we explained the stuff, let's try it. First, let's try the ancestral fruit. Cherry plum. Usually they are bigger, but this is a very small variety, and we had 3 years of drought by now, so fruit are quite small. Nice. Not much flavor. Sweet enough, but the sourness dominates, especially near the skin. The skin is really sour. Very good fruit in this hot weather. Actually, you can, if you want to get more water, you You can basically boil them and make like some sort of fruit tea from plums, and then you will have just plum flavored water with a lot of acids and sugars and minerals, which is arguably healthier than normal water, and you will drink more because of the nice taste and sourness. Just don't overdose on the plums, you will get different problems. Well, those purple ones, those dark purple ones, they seem really overripe. They are very soft. Soft but still good. Interesting flavor. And so hot that they taste like they are boiled. I mean, they are dark purple, and in this heat wave, such hot fruit, yeah, they taste a lot more cooked than those here. The blackthorn is not ripe yet. Mostly it's ripe after the first frost. In such drought years it can be ripe in September, even without any frost, but already getting soft, but it's still quite tart. Well, let's try this Prunus salicina, this subtropical plum. Nice flavor, like apricots. Good stuff. Now let's go to the mirabelles. First, stuff which is being sold in the mainstream supermarkets. Let's try one of those fruits which I think are underripe. Quite tough, quite sweet, but on the other side, dry and with the flavor of grass. Edible, but not the best stuff. Now let's try one of the riper fruits which are being sold at the supermarket. It's more like it, but still no real flavor. It's not so sour, it's a little bit less dry. The grass flavor is weak, but no other flavor. Now let's try the mirabelles from my farm. Well, this is, as I said, Prunus domestica. Oh, did I say it? Prunus domestica, subspecies syriaca. Perfect. Nice and sweet, and with a little bit of the typical mirabelle flavor. The last weeks were quite hot and dry, so some fruit which ripened and were not so tasty now did a second spurt of ripening, and now they are really tasty. But the mirabelle flavor is not so strong in those. Now let's try the feral mirabelles. They're already overripe and very soft. Not so tasty, they're okay, but nothing special, and they also taste quite cooked. Now the green gauges. First, the typical green gauge. A lot of Turkish people who come to Germany, they think that those are unripe cherry plums, because Turkish people like to sell and eat unripe cherry plums, but nope. I think some of them are disappointed that this is actually a ripe fruit. Nice and juicy. Not too sweet. Well, almost on the verge of bland. Yeah, a little bit bland. I don't have my big yellow green gauge, so now let's try this green gauge, which is definitely not green. Grafalta is maybe my favorite plum variety. Amazing. Amazing fruit. And now finally those feral green gauges, which I guess might be a hybrid with some different plum species, or plum variety rather. Quite good. And with a flavor that reminds me either of cherry plums or of mirabelle plums. I don't think this hybrid is good enough to preserve it in one of the official government collections, but if I was crafting plums here, maybe I would craft a couple of it, because it's not too bad. Not the best plum, but also not the worst. So folks, I hope I was able to confuse you even more about the world of the yellow plums and their relatives. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful city of Heidelberg and the beautiful Turkish shops and farmers markets of Mannheim, where I bought some of those plums. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.